Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is your girl, your sister, your wife, and your friend. Welcome to Kafaya Lifestyle and Wisdom. Stay tuned and continue to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here in this channel, we're gonna be discussing about a lot of things. We're gonna be talking about how to manage a particular economic, how you can places that you can visit, that you can live within your means. You understand? All my friends in diasporas, people that are wondering how Nigeria is, how they can cope in our economic here in Nigeria. And I'm going to be going to a lot of visiting a lot of places where you can be, a lot of places, how you places that you can literally going to be enjoying when you are visiting our nation, Nigeria. Here, live, stay tuned, and also I'll be chipping in a lot of wisdom based on my own knowledge. I'm not imposing on you, but the comment section is open for discussions also. So I'll be chipping in a lot of things. We're going to be discussing a lot of topics. We're going to be having fun literally in this channel. And let me quickly put in today's quote for you. And today's quote is purpose of an argument. Purpose of an argument. This particular topic here has literally destroyed a lot of relationship, marriages, nation, friendship. Well, when I mean relationship, relationship can be in a diverse aspect when we want to begin to define it as per se. So as it is, we're gonna talk about this topic based on my own discovery. I'm just chipping in. That's why I said this is Kafaya lifestyle and wisdom. So, purpose of an argument, to my own best knowledge, the purpose of an argument is communication. Yeah, purpose of an argument is communication. And the reasons of communication was to use your own idea to influence the other party. Yeah, reason for communication is to use your own ideas, to influence the other party, in essence to change the other person's perspective. Yes, but the best way to act inconsistently to change someone's perspective is to send them a message, you know differently from what they expect. Yeah, when I mean sending someone a message differently from what they expect, you know there are factors when we need to be looking out to when we are having an argument. As I said, the purpose of an argument is communications, and a lot of us tend to rule out this particular purpose. Yes, let me put it like that. Purpose, the agenda of that argument, the reason is for us to communicate. We want to be heard. That is why we are into that heated confrontation with the other person. So, and I'm going to be pointing out factors that we need to be looking out to for when we are having this argument. Number one, ego. And as I'm measuring these factors, I'm going to give you the definitions, my own self discovery definitions of ego. You know, ego is a sense of importance. Yes, sense of importance. When we tend to have an argument, these factors always come out in our daily to day individuals personalities. When we are having arguments, a lot of people tend to miss the purpose of argument, which is communications, and we subconsciously allow ourselves to be carried away with ego 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 dominance. Yeah, that is very very popular. When you are having an argument, you want to dominate, you want them to know you're there. And my own definitions of dominance is having power and influence over the other. When you're having power, you're having influence over the other person. And number three, pride. Yeah, pride a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfying derived from one's own self-achievement of those whom is closely associated. Yes, that is another factors we need to learn to look out for when having arguments. You don't want your self ego, you don't want to be dominating the other party. If you want that person to hear you, if you want to communicate your argument fair and square and to be understood, you need to check out and look out for these factors when dealing or having a confrontation with the other person. And I said pride, yes, that is it. And then, you know, number 4, anger. Yeah, that one. I won't lie to you, me too. I'm not innocent too. I'm literally not innocent. You know, when we're having arguments, we let our anger overtake us. And my own definition of anger is a strong feeling of arrogance, of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. You know, when before anger take place, when you are having a heated argument with somebody, definitely there must be hostile feelings that is included. Yeah, a lot of us have that. You know, we look at that person, we want to dominate, we want our pride to be seen, we want our egos to be there, and that is when we miss the purpose of argument in first place. And 5, this one is very, very crucial, which is violence. Yes, a lot of people attend to violence. Violence doesn't solve anything. And my own definitions of violence is a behavior involving physical force or intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. You know, you destroy things when you are violent. And when we are allowing all these 5 factors I've mentioned that we need to look out or keep in check when we want that confrontation, that discussion. Because sometimes when we really, trust me, if we really checked out these particular factors, if we keep our mind in check, we will be able to, you know, communicate and be heard by the other person. And when we check our ego, check our dominance, pride, anger, violence, you know, we're going to be heard when having a heated argument. And number 6, the most important one that a lot of us want to do so many times is emotion. Yes, emotions. Yes, let me just say emotions. A lot of us tends to have emotions. A lot of people tends to use emotional manipulation when having an argument with the other party. You know, you want to blackmail them emotionally, you want to play the victims, you don't want. And let me just give you my own kind of definitions of emotion. Emotion is a complex, powerful mental and physical state involving subjective feelings, behavioral response. You know, if I want to go into this, if I want to go to expatiate on emotions, it's very deep. You understand? You understand? These reactions involve both internal feelings and external actions, motivating us to deal with the situation and communicate our internal states that are distinct from our moods. So we need to check our emotions when we are dealing with the other person. You know, you don't play the victims, just you want to be heard, right? Check out these 6 factors: ego, dominance, pride, anger, violence, and most importantly, emotion. When you are able to keep all these 6 factors in check, I think we have a good communication skills when having argument. And I also want to say there are key components of emotions. Yeah, let me skip that because if I want to really go into my written, it's going to take us a lot of rage and time. And one thing I want us to remember is that when we are able to rule out these 6 factors and that can destroy the main purpose of our argument, which is communication, you must be ready to be what? Magnanimous. Yes, a lot of us don't want to do that also. If you are not a magnanimous person, you are not ready to be the bigger person, you know, you are not ready to, to just overlook it and let it go, you tend to destroy a lot of relationships that are supposed to be blossoming beautifully. Do you understand? Beautifully, let me say. Because when we allow those 6 factors I have mentioned rule our minds through during arguments, we tend to destroy a lot of things. So when you are magnanimous enough, let me give you my own definitions, is forgiving towards a rivalry or lesser person. Yes, lesser person. You have to be, let me just give you another similar words, benevolent. You have to be benevolent. You have to be open-minded. You have to have a great heart, a big heart, a magnificent, bountiful, and so on and so forth. You understand? So, and when we happen to keep this in mind as a person, when you are having and going into that argument, don't forget that your purpose of you going into that argument is to use your own influence, your own idea to influence the other, not to dominate them, not to show yourself, your ego, your pride, your emotion. Don't manipulate someone emotionally just because you are trying to be heard. So, and I want to give you a quick stories of what I read from a book, How to Get a Yes. Let me show you the book, How to Get a Yes Without Giving In. This book is written by Roger Fisherman and Williams Uri. Yes, it's a very nice book. It's actually a gift from someone, and I want to say shout out to the person. I don't want to mention her name. She knows. She gave me this book, and ever since I've been reading this book. It's transformed a lot of things about my life. So there's a story I come across about a farmer and a oil company in US in diaspora during the Saddam Hussein regime. So then these particular farmers, they listed a plot of land from the government, and because that's all their life savings, you understand. So they planted crop. Lo and behold, some few months, oil was discovered on that particular land. So the oil company from the government came and was like, go away from our land, this is government property and all that. So they said they are going to call soldier. The farmer says, we have many of us, we have guns too. So the situation want to lead to a lot of violence. But thank God for a new recruit that was just a fresh start, that understood these 6 factors I've mentioned: emotions, pride, dominance, violence, and anger. You understand? So he asked the oil company, he asked the farmers, how many months, why don't you want to leave the farm? He said, because they have invested all their life savings and they have nothing to lose. Even though if they die, they die. You understand? So he asked them, how many months is it going to take for you to harvest your crops from this land? And they said, like, okay, 3 months. All right. He turned to the oil company and asked them also, how many months is going to take you? Are you going to start drilling oil from this land immediately? And they said, no, it's going to still take them a year by mapping the land mapping, that and this. Okay. He said, okay. Can you allow these people to harvest their crops? Can you see wisdom? It saved them a lot of violence from violent situations. That particular incident, he allowed them to harvest their crop. He tell them, though you are from government, the government owns this, discover the oil and all that, you bought the land from, they also listed this land. So allow them to harvest their crop. And funny, when they later negotiate the whole situation, it was later beneficiary to the farmers and also to the oil company, because they later employed those farmers to work in the land and also cultivate some of their, still continue to plant their crop within the derricks there. So you see, it's not everything that violence solve. It's not everything that hunger solve. It's not everything that ego or pride wanted to be there can solve. And it's not everything that emotional manipulation can stop. So we tend to, a lot of us tend to forget these factors while having heated argument or confrontation with the other party, knowing fully that the purpose of that argument, of that confrontation, is communication. We want to be heard. So be ready to be magnanimous enough and apply all this wisdom without being arrogant about it, to go about it in a way that it will be both be beneficiary to you and the other party, without resorting into any of those factors that I've mentioned. Thank you for listening to me. Once again, this is your girl, your sister, your wife, your mother, and your friend, Kafaya Lifestyle and Wisdom. Stay tuned for another interesting episode. Continue to subscribe and like my channel. Bye.